All right, folks, let's keep it pushing. Brace yourselves for our next segment, which is a fireside chat on the topic from clicks to conversations, optimizing your SEO team for maximum ROI. In a digital world where every click holds potential, how do we ensure those clicks translate into tangible results for our business? It's like fine tuning the strings of a guitar to create the perfect harmony between clicks and conversations. Let's welcome our distinguished speakers, Danielle Erica, CEO and co founder of Two Workspace, and Chris Sams, president of CMO of Gemsu. Welcome to the stage. You guys in the house? Mic'd up? Hi. Give a huge round of applause for our two experts, ladies and gentlemen. Is your friend Chris here? All right, no pressure.
Okay. That's okay. All right. All right. We'll just it ends at what time?
You have until 3:30.
Okay. Okay, well we came up with about 5 core topics around SEO. So just to clarify, SEO stands for search engine optimization. We're all familiar with Google. There's also Bing, and there's a couple other smaller sites, DuckDuckGo. But in general, when you type in a word and you see those top results, the optimization is making your brand the top of the search results. So all of us in marketing always want to be top of mind. We always want our brand to be thought of well. When you think of tennis shoes, you think of Nike. When you think of, soda pop, you might think of Coca-Cola. When you think of computers, you might think of Apple. So all that's examples of great branding. The branding comes in very clearly with search engine optimization because your keywords, which is what we call the words that you type in and have high results, those keywords are related to your brand. So I have 5 things that we wanted to talk about. Let's start with, we'll first go over the video marketing as well as it relates to conversions. Then number 2, we can talk about AI and chatbots leading to content generation that produces great search results, and then also content generation with AI, and then fourth, SEO and blogging, and the power of blogging, and then also branding and awareness and search engine optimization. So what I'd like to highlight first is probably the portion that I'm the most familiar with is using video related content for search engine optimization. So all of you probably have websites, you work with companies that have spent a lot of time and energy on their website development. But then what do we do when we want to create content that drives people to our website? So what my former company that I was working with is called Monster Gardens, and it was a really innovative strategy that we came up with, which is creating video marketing. So little videos, 2 to 10 minutes about our gardening products, and then putting keywords. So when you typed in, let's say, lighting for gardening, then our videos about using that lighting would come up. So it was very innovative, and I actually would recommend everyone in here to really go big on video marketing. Video is the future. I am co-founder of Two Workspace. We are a video-based virtual office platform, so I have a lot of expertise around video and video-related content and marketing, and it's really helpful. So I would say with SEO, as it relates to search engine optimization, what's a great way to really, I would say, differentiate your brand, make your brand seem more compelling. There are statistics that show that 80% of video content is remembered by most viewers, where only 20 to 25% of written content is remembered by users. So if you have a blog post with 1,000 words or you have a video content with 1,000 words, your customer is much more likely to remember the video content. So that in itself should be a reason why you would want to go bullish on video content. I used to live in Los Angeles. There's many companies that can create quality video related content for your brand, and then you can buy keywords. So you're going to go to Google Console or any of your digital marketing manager that's working on your SEO, is you would buy keywords related to your brand and create video content around there. So again, let's say you were selling tennis shoes, you would want to basically create video content around your new shoes. Let's say they're Allbirds and they're eco-friendly tennis shoes. You would create a video about the Allbirds tennis shoes, and then you would um, put keywords, tennis shoe content, great new sneakers, great for runners, and you'd buy keywords related to that. Then your search engine optimization would make sure that your web pages are optimized around that. And then when people type in, best footwear, your search results around your brand would also have video content. So I hope everyone's excited about that. It's very compelling. You'd be surprised that even some of the biggest brands in the world are not using video. And so if you're a smaller brand or mid-sized brand, creating a compelling content around your brand is very it has a high ROI, which I guess is what we're all here for, return on investment, making sure that our marketing dollars are well spent and that our customers enjoy our brand, keep purchasing, and we have, a long-term customer base. So I think the next thing we'll talk about is actually SEO and blogging. Blogging is one of the best ways. Many of us have done white papers and things like that, but creating compelling blogs around your content is really one of the best ways to differentiate your brand. We're in what we call an information economy, and by information, it means your brand, its job is to educate the customer versus just sell to them. So I think in the 60s, 70s, and even 80s, most marketing was around selling, making sure that you sell your product, and was very aggressive. I think some of the other panels spoke to this, where it was a tough sell, a hard sell, and are you going to purchase? Are you going to purchase? Well, now in the last, especially 10 years, people are so used to using the internet before they purchase, so they're used to finding out a lot about a brand or a product before they purchase. And so, how do you keep your customers' relationship more conversational, more I would say the most compelling type of sales tactic now is in 2024, and I would say probably just the last 5 years especially, is compelling sales tactics and marketing tactics are a conversation. So we saw some things about email, making it conversational and highly personalized, and then also with SEO, we can do a lot around the targeting for different types of people groups or different psychographics or demographics, looking for different content. So let's say, you're selling, footwear again, but maybe this time it's for evening wear. You can say, women that live in urban cities might want to purchase and blogging about, these heels are good for going out to dinner or some things like that. Or let's say it's a different type of company. In the case of our gardening, we had a lot of people that were um, hobbyists and they would grow tomatoes. So we created a lot of content, even some blogs around that. And then previously, before that, I did some real estate marketing, and we did a lot of content around for blogging around different school districts, what different homes in different areas, what the advantages of those neighborhoods were, and it was very compelling. And I had so many customers say, "We read your blog, we saw your blog," and they love the idea that instead of us calling and calling and calling them about, are you going to buy a house? Our marketing was more conversational through blogging. Basically, we care about our customers holistically. So I would say with all of this is both the video marketing and now we're talking about blogging is really creating a conversation where us as people that are selling products and experts in marketing, really we're trying to get our the right customer to purchase the right product. So that by educating the customer, they know, hey, this is a product that's good for me. This is something that's going to be advantageous. And then, something to think about is that these getting the customers that are the long-term customers that are going to buy from you for not just one time, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Lifetime value of a customer might be 10 years in some verticals. So you want to have marketing tactics that are long-term customer value. And again, talking about search engine optimization is these customers sometimes they don't even know your website domain. They literally type in your keyword and then your website needs to come up. So creating blogging content makes your website results are a higher page rank. And so page rank is very important as far as mind share. Nobody wants to go to the fifth page of the search results to find out your brand. Maybe usually it's 2 or 3 pages deep that people want to search. So okay, so let's go on to I would say content generation with AI. I'm not an expert in Chat GPT. I am very familiar with AI, and we're working.
Daniela, I have a resident expert at ChatGPT. If you'd like to be joined, we have
Okay, yeah,
David
sure.
Mankin on site,
Yeah,
everybody, to help
yeah,
back you all up. Feel free to work your way to the stage.
yeah. Let's hear it. Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Dave. Okay, great. I'm doing great. No, that's great. No, no. So let's talk. So I think the next thing we can talk about is SEO results and content generation, creating more compelling content, which will increase your search engine results. So you can speak to that.
Yeah, no, I think. Is this working?
Hmm. I hope
Really?
so.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, no, I think AI is awesome because it's taken a lot of the tedious kind of task-based work out of SEO. There's some tools actually out there now that use AI to take kind of the keywords or the topics that you're looking for. It'll scan the top results of Google, pull the information out about how they ranked in the top 10 for Google, and then basically you can you take inspiration from how they got there, and you can actually even write the whole blog. It'll actually add the H1s, the H2s, and then drop the content in and tell you um, the density of the keywords, because again, Google doesn't like it when you keyword stuff, so you're going to get dinged for that. But this will actually just do the whole thing for you. It's actually called Neuron Writer. So what is it? Neuron and then writer. So check it out. I might be totally wrong on the spelling, but but no, it's fantastic. So you look at what are the keywords you want to rank for, you look at the people that are ranking for it, and then you have it effectively write the blog for you. And I I'm a I may contradict you a little bit, and I'm sorry. uh, for the clients that I write blogs for, I tell them nobody's going to read your blog, right? You're writing a blog for an audience of one, and that audience is Google, right? And so when it comes to SEO, you use the blog for your SEO to rank, and then use the rest of your website to talk to people like they're human beings and actually have a conversation and talk to them, not like you're trying to rank for Google, because you can tell the ones that are just optimized for Google, and that Google's a robot and people are people. And so you speak I always say that the main portion of the website is to speak to your audience. Google blogs are there to help rank for those keywords, and then obviously it's maximizing content, right? Being consistently post those blogs. I mean,
I think that's super important. I think someone else was mentioning that yesterday and even today is that your customers should expect to hear from you within a certain time frame. So if you're doing a newsletter, it should be monthly. If you're doing blogging, maybe you do it every Friday for the weekend or every Monday to help you with the week. So I think when you're using AI for content generation for blogging, it's something to think about, hey, can we produce this once a week, once a month, every 2 weeks, and tell your customers when you're publishing your blog, because then they're more likely to search, they're more likely to go to your website, and you can create more compelling, you know, cu- uh, customer relationships. I think, again, speaking to anytime you're doing customer acquisition strategy, when you educate your customer, you're going to have a better experience because your customers are more qualified leads. They understand your product better, they ask better questions, and they're more likely to purchase. So that's something to think about. Do you want to talk about branding and awareness with SEO and how we can work on compelling keywords?
Yeah, I mean, I SEO is a tool. It's not the focus, right? And so, I mean, if we're all being honest with ourselves, SEO is to help you get found on Google. Um, I think you said page 5. I think the old
Let's
adage.
hope not.
Well, no, it's the best place to hide a dead body is the second page of Google, right? Um, so if your whole focus is just to show up on Google, you're doing it wrong, right? Because there's a whole, okay, if they found you, now they get to your website, what now, right? If your whole focus was just to get found on Google
That's
and you're
a good point.
not making a compelling reason why they actually should take the next step, you kind of think of Google as chapter 1. And if you get to the end of chapter 1, and you start looking at chapter 2 and it's not, you're like, ugh, I don't like where this is going, you're going to stop, right? So branding, marketing, I mean, SEO is maybe that first step, but it's all an interconnected web, right? So
Yeah, I think that's very helpful what Dave was saying. Is that when we're thinking about SEO, we should think about it also in terms of a branding. Because if it is top of mind, then your search engine results will always be better. Because let's say I'm a restaurant and I live in Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area, and it's a new restaurant. I've done some marketing around these type of local businesses, and the first thing they want to do is get their name out there. Well, if they build a brand through other methods, then when people say, we want sushi in this neighborhood or Mexican food in this neighborhood, they're gonna type in the name of your restaurant as opposed of sushi restaurants in San Jose or in New York City or in Alabama or Birmingham, Alabama. So it's really important that when you think of search engine optimization, you also think of it in the context of, hey, my customers know the name of my business. My customers are know the keywords around my business. And so that can be a part of a holistic marketing campaign where your search engine optimization is just functioning from your general marketing campaign as it is. So let's move on to do you want to talk about AI and chatbots at all?
yeah, I think that's kind of going to change everything because we see we're in this transition from SEO to GEO, which is generative engine optimization, because we're moving from a scenario where you ask a question and you get a list of potential sites that are going to answer that question. Now, with the inception of ChatGPT or Bard, well, Gemini
Yeah, Gemini.
now,
Google just changed their
they
their
change
AI
they change their product names
to
every other
Gemini, so I think all of us are hearing about that one.
So now it's not so much a list of potential websites that match your query, it's generative in a paragraph form of
Mhm.
the answer to that. So now you got to look at things as, SEO has been obviously this buzzword for so long, but now SEO is going to be replaced with how are you going to actually get found in the form of a chat. Um, and
Yeah.
and AI is great and ChatGPT is great because you can just ask it, how do I do something, right? How do I make sure that my website gets found using ChatGPT, and it'll just generally just tell you.
And I think it was coming up the other day, I think in another conversation that I had, is that around AI generated results, is that we want to make sure that it sounds like your brand voice, right? So if you have, comedic, some brands are very funny and their tone is very irreverent, then you should be thinking about that when the AI generates content around your brand. If it's very academic, or maybe it's political cause, or maybe it's a nonprofit, then it should be more professional and less irreverent. So it's something to think about when your AI is producing content, that it actually reflects your brand voice. And I think I'm big with AI. I'm also working with a company called AI You Trust, and what we're trying to do with that is that make sure that AI is being used proactively by people, and that there's certain guardrails around what AI can produce, and that's something to think about when you're building your brand, which again relates to search engine optimization, your keywords. So I think one other thing we can go back to is uh, you want to talk a little bit more about branding and SEO, or
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about making money, right?
yeah.
I tell my clients all the time, I'm a very selfish person, and that I want them to be do well, because if they're not doing well, they stop paying me, and then we're not going to be friends anymore. Uh, Shout out, Kathy, you owe me money. Don't don't make things go awkward. We still got a day together. Um, but no, so I mean, again, if marketing is kind of this digital universe, right? SEO is kind of a black hole. And it's easy to kind of slip into SEO and have that as your total focus. But
Yeah, I think that's a great
really,
point. I think that's a
really
great
at
point.
the end of the day, it's about good marketing is really only works when it connects two people, right? So it doesn't matter what you're doing, what you're selling, unless you're actually bringing those two people together and they connect, it hasn't worked, right? And we've had a lot of discussions about data, and I've always been, like, oh, I've worked for other agencies in the past before I owned my own, and they were like, oh, well, we got this many people go to your website, right? You're like, oh, I got 1 million people went to your website. Cool. I don't give a shit. Like, how many people actually reached out? How many people did you connect with? Because until that happens, it's not really worth anything. So again, SEO is
Yeah, that's
great,
a good point.
but if somebody says, "Oh, I'll get you on the first page of Google," cool. But now what? Because
Yeah, qualified leads, right?
right,
We don't want to necessarily be on the first page of Google for a keyword or something that tangentially relates to your product, but really isn't your core customer. So
well, I
let's
mean, good SEO doesn't pay the bills.
yeah, so that's something to think about. I think what he said, a black hole, or maybe in a universe is a planet. I mean, SEO is only as good as your product and your messaging around your product. Because, like he said, if you get great search results, you're the top page rank, second, third result. But then when they get to your web page or your landing page, the copywriting on the web page is not compelling, or it's confusing, there's not significant calls to action, then you're having a situation where your SEO didn't have an impact on your revenue, right? Because you're sending people to your website, you're sending traffic, so that your Google Analytics looks amazing, but then you're not having conversions to sales. So the way to think about SEO is a complete marketing strategy where you're sending people through a search engine, which probably soon will be morphing with generative AI and Gemini and GPT and different types of search engines that will produce results. With that, the website that they're sending them to, or the landing page you're sending them to, or the content you're sending them to, it should be so compelling that it converts to sales, right? And our marketing strategies are only as good as we can produce results, which I always like to say that, sales has to also be a long-term branding play, right? Because if you're paying, I work in B2B SaaS, some people may pay $32 or $35 to acquire a customer because the product costs, $8,000 a year. So it's worth paying, $25, $35 per customer, and you'll get your money back. But those campaigns, if the customer, you have attrition and the customer leaves after 12 months, then you spent all this money and time acquiring customer, and then there's abandonment or attrition. So it's something to think about, where a long-term customer value is important, because maybe they bought your product and they didn't need it. 2 years later, they go back to the search engine and they say, hey, cookbooks, I want to buy another cookbook by this chef. But you bought the search engine, vegan cookbooks, and then your cookbook comes up. So it's always something to think about when you're messaging, that you have some keywords around your product, that you're consistent. That will create better search results. You can use those keywords in your website. You can use those keywords in your social media posts, your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, or now it's X. And so it's something to think about, is that you have your list of keywords. I think I just did this with one of the customers I was working with, where we created about, I think we had almost 75 or 80 keywords, but then we realized with our website, we only wanted to really highlight about 15. And so then our search engine results were much more compelling, where we just had keywords related to our brand and our first, top 3 or 4 products, right? We don't need to buy keywords for every single thing related to our brand. Otherwise, it's extraordinarily expensive, and it's better to have maybe 5 keywords that you purchase and you go really big on in all your marketing, versus 15, 20, or even like the console said 75 or 80 result keywords. It was like, oh no, this is like going to be a huge campaign. So it's good to think about it like more strategic. Like, okay, this is our brand. These are the top. I would recommend, depending on how many products you have and how complex your products are. I was working with a medical company, so it was very complex messaging for doctors, and then there were different messaging for medical staff and things like that. So that was difficult coming up with our keywords. But if you do there's a lot of tools out there. There's I think SEM Rush, which is a great product that can help you pick keywords. So really research what tools you're using to optimize your keyword purchases, and then also make sure that those keywords are in the rest of your marketing campaigns. I don't know if that is helpful. So.
Yeah, I would also say, as far as kind of SEO tools, obviously the big one is Google Search Console, is to make sure that your sitemap is loaded.
Yep.
And then do that, and then immediately go to Bing Webmaster, and then that'll actually pull all of your Search Console account over, so all the information will come over with it, as well as, I don't know if nobody, and you probably do, but Microsoft Clarity, if you haven't downloaded that yet, is awesome. Um, it's so what it'll actually do, and you'll love this because you're all a data nerd. Um, it'll actually show, Microsoft Clarity actually will show you heat maps on your website of where people's mouses were hovering. It'll also take little recorded snippets of how, and you'll actually get reports. Like I got a report today, and it'll break it down into different sections, and one's called rage clicks. So if there's people that think that there's a section they should be clicking, and like it'll actually tell you, so you can actually go back into it, use the information from Microsoft Clarity to say, wow, I'm actually following this person on their journey through the user experience on this website. And it's so impactful, because then you can say, oh, well, shit, this person, like, there's a significant people getting stuck in this section
Yeah,
and
that's a good
thinking that
point.
they can go there. And then you can go in, and again, because it's all about making a connection, right? And people are impatient. And if they're confused,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, screw this, I'm
They
out.
don't purchase. I
Right.
think I think it's
So,
a great point, is that if your website is you have the great search engine results, which is the title of the talk is clicks to conversion, right? Conversion to sales, conversion to helping your brand grow. Is that if there's confusing messaging, confusing site architecture, then no matter how much traffic you send them, it's not necessarily going to convert to sales. I mean, sometimes it will, especially if your product's really needed. But in a very competitive environment, depending on what type of vertical you're in, it's important that your site architecture is reflects your brand, and then also the customer journey. So Probably many people here are aware of customer journey. So it's something to think about. Is that you take? I'm a big advocate for market research, customer research. So take 10 people, and it doesn't have to be super expensive and super time consuming. You can take 10 people, say, hey, can you click through my website? Let's say it's an e-commerce site, and try to find this product. Maybe have 30 products, and you say, how would you find this product? And they can type it into Google and then find the page that relates to that particular product, and then you can map it out. Say, oh, on step 3 or 4 they got kind of confused, and maybe it's and really you want to make the customer journey as succinct as possible. Sometimes I think it's something like if it's more than 8 steps, they're not likely to buy. So I know with real estate, it was very difficult because that's a long-term sell. It could take 3 months, 4 months for somebody to purchase a home. And what we tried to do is just educate the customer for months and months. I mean, we had people subscribing to our blog for like a year, and I didn't even think they were reading it. And then they would like, oh yeah, I've been getting your blog, because we personalized it. We'd say, hey, Susan, thanks for, we're so glad that you're moving to this area. We wanted to let you know about this. And then they would Google us and say, oh, Equity Advisors was cared about where I moved in my neighborhood. So, personalization can help your search engine results because, they're aware of your brand. And then in general, creating this kind of customer journey that's very succinct and will convert to sales. So that's something to think about. Do you want to speak to video marketing at all? I think you have some experience with video at SEO.
Yeah, I mean that's really kind of a whole different beast on as far as like if you're YouTube and all the kind of tags and all that you need to put on it. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's a whole.
Whole nother thing.
We
Okay,
haven't
we'll
got
leave
time
that
for
off.
that.
Okay, so that is something that to think about is make sure that your website is professionally. There are so many agencies out there that specialize in meta tags and search engine optimization from the web perspective. Because
Structured snippets.
yes, yeah, and so it's something to think about that if your current website, if your results are not, top, 2 pages, obviously everybody wants to be the first 5 or 6 results, but if you're not the top 2 pages, you really need to go back and figure out how to optimize the content and how to optimize, the meta tags and your actual HTML to make sure that when Google or any other search engine is spidering the internet, it finds your results. So there's a lot of technical things that you can do to make your search engine results more effective, but then there's a lot of practical things around compelling content and brand awareness. So it's one of those things. That's what I love about digital marketing is that it's part science and it's part practical, right? It's writing, it's amazing graphics. So when they go to your website, it feels very user friendly, and the user interface design and the UX UI is so compelling that people stay on the site for 10 15 minutes versus 3 or 4 minutes. So I would say just part of a holistic marketing strategy. I think we mentioned that before, is that really when you're thinking of the term search engine optimization, you should think about it. Okay, is our brand on target? Do we have 15 or 20 keywords, and we're going to focus on maybe 5 to 8 around this brand? Then we buy those keywords and we make sure those keywords are in our social media, our Facebook, our Instagram, our LinkedIn, and our press releases, and just think of basically your brand has keywords, and then your search engine results are going to be amazing. I mean, it's really a holistic part of it's one tactic in a big strategy, right? In a larger growth plan. And so that's something to think about.
Panel, we have time for a couple questions. Questions, comments, concerns? I have a question. Many, many years ago, I got a degree in multimedia design, 2006. And we did a little bit of SEO. And back then, it was all about manipulating spiders
Yeah.
using the meta tags.
Yeah.
Is that still the status quo for that? Or how has that evolved since then?
Um, there it's I mean once you really start diving into it, it's ridiculous. Like page type titles should be obviously they're optimized for kind of what the page is going to be, but also should be within 60 characters. The page description should be 160.
Yeah. That's very
favicon,
important.
but even the favicon,
Yeah,
that on the it's a little image on your tab when you pull it up, that needs to be sized correctly. But one thing we didn't even mention was even offsite SEO, which is backlink strategy,
Yeah.
which is having basically sites are all given a kind of a hierarchy of how important they are. So like if I did an article on you guys and posted on my website, Google would be like, yeah, okay, cool. But if like CNN wrote an article and posted on their site, they'd be like, oh wow, these guys are super relevant because CNN's like calling them out. So again, backlink strategy is a big part of that too. So it's really complex. And then there's a disavow portion of Google Search Console where you look at backlinks and you can see toxicity scores. And then you take those and you say, I don't want to be associated with those anymore. So Google will be like, okay, cool, you're not associated. So it's become way more complex.
Yeah, and I think when you get into the weeds of it, you probably want somebody who's an expert in all the tactics because they're always changing, right? There's always Google Search Console's been
Keep you on your toes.
yeah, it keeps you on your toes, and I would say do what your team is best at, right? So most of us marketers, we're going to be with either copywriting or advertising and marketing strategies. But when it gets to the technical of like how to optimize your actual web pages, you're going to need somebody with those practical experiences. And you know what? Google them. Like I had a couple agencies that are like, oh, we're so great at search engine optimization. And I Googled them and I couldn't find them. I'm like, well, I don't know if you're that good because I can't find you. And so it's something to think about is that if you're, getting a freelancer or a small agency to help your firm or your brand grow its SEO, is to make sure that their results, because the proof's in the pudding, right? If you Google, I had a couple agencies that were referred to me, so I had their domains, and then I Googled them and I couldn't find them. And then one other thing I would want to bring up is Google for Business. That's a great way where if you're let's say a brand with a storefront, or you're an agency with that's in a specific city that has a physical address. It does need to be a real physical address. So if you're working hybrid or remote, you would need to get a co-working space with a physical address. But Google Your Business is another amazing way to create search engine optimization because they're going to get an actual address. And so when people are searching for local, so let's say, in Houston, Texas, or, Dallas, Texas, I need a certain, flower shop, or maybe I want to find, a certain type of business, I can look in that region and your Google for Business search results will be better. So hopefully that also helps the practicality of it.
Thank you very much, panel. Let's give a big round of applause for our two speakers. Dave's going to stay on stage because he's pulling double duty right now.